When people look back on the most unforgettable moments in televised talent competitions, they usually remember the big, flashy performances. The fireworks, the soaring high notes, the standing ovations. But every now and then, a story emerges that begins so quietly and innocently that almost no one expects it to become the moment an entire world will talk about. And that's exactly what happened with a 12-year-old Filipino boy named Arvin de la Cruz. Arvin grew up in a small town in Batangas, where mornings smelled like freshly cooked pandesal, and the air echoed with roosters crowing from every direction. His family didn't have much, but they had enough food, enough love, and enough faith in each other to get through the hard days. His father, Joel, worked long shifts as a mechanic, and his mother, Alona, sold vegetables in the palanque. They were simple people with simple dreams, to give their only son a better life than they had. But Arvin himself had a different dream. When he held tightly to like a secret treasure, he wanted to sing on a big stage. Not just any stage, the big stage. The kind he had only ever seen on the small TV, in their living room, which sometimes flickered because of the unstable electricity in their barangay. Whenever America's Got Talent aired, reruns on Filipino channels, Arvin would sit cross-legged on the cold cement floor, studying every contestant's posture, breath expression. He was too shy to sing in front of other people, but alone in his room he would belt out songs, with a voice that already hinted at something special. His mother was the first to notice. One afternoon, as she passed by his half-closed door, she heard her son singing Boing, hitting notes she had never imagined a child could deliver. She held her breath as he reached the climax of the song. When he finished, she gently pushed his door open. "Anak," she said softly, "bakit hindi mo pinapakita sa amin yan?" Arvin froze na nahihiya po ako. His mother smiled and hugged him. "Walang nakakahiya sa talento. Anak, siyempre. Maya binagay sa iyo ang Diyos." "Ipakita mo naman," she told Joel. When he got home and the proud father insisted, they record a video of Arvin singing. They uploaded it to Facebook, expecting maybe a few relatives to like it. They didn't expect thousands of views in a week, or for someone to comment, "This kid should audition for AGT." At first, the suggestion felt ridiculous. America's Got Talent, a boy from a small town. They didn't have the money for plane tickets, much less the confidence to imagine such a huge dream. But as more people commented and messaged them, the idea started planting roots. Then came the email. A talent scout from the AGT online audition portal had seen Arvin's video, apparently. It had been shared again and again until it reached the eyes of someone who recognized raw potential. The scout encouraged them to submit an official audition clip. The family didn't sleep that night. They searched for the best possible lighting in their humble home, placed the phone on top of stacked books, and let Arvin sing his heart out. He chose a classic English ballad. Thinking that was safer, they clicked submit. Weeks passed. Life went on. They didn't talk much about it, partly because they didn't want to get their hopes up. But one evening, as they were eating dinner, they received another email, this time an invitation for an in-person audition in Los Angeles. Silence filled the room, then tears, then laughter, then silence again, the kind that comes when a dream feels too big to grasp. "How will we afford it?" Joel whispered. Arvin lowered his head. "Wag na po, kay okay lang po." But his parents were already shaking their heads. No. They would find a way. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. The barangay captain organized a fundraising event. Neighbors slipped small bills into their hands. Strangers messaged them saying they wanted to help. A local church covered part of the airfare. By the time their departure date arrived, they had enough to fly to the U.S., stay in a small motel, and buy simple meals each day. When they finally landed in Los Angeles, everything felt overwhelming. The buildings were enormous, the streets loud, the lights blinding. But nothing was more intimidating than the AGT venue itself. The line of contestants stretched endlessly. Performers with elaborate costumes, props makeup. It made Arvin feel tiny. Enik, his mother whispered. Kahit anong mangyari, proud kami sa'yo. But Arvin wasn't sure. He looked down at his simple polo shirt and worn shoes. He looked at the stage banners and imagined millions watching. He imagined failing, and when he was alone for a moment, he pulled his parents aside. Natay, gusto ko pong baguhin yung kanta. Both parents looked at him in surprise. The producers had already asked what song he would perform. Changing it now would complicate things. Anik surakabiye. His father asked. Arvin nodded slowly. Opo, kasi po nandito na tayo sa Amerika. Dapat dalhin ko po yung Pilipinas sa stage. Kahit mahirap, kahit sabihin na long weird. His mother looked at him, eyes softening. Anyo ang gusto mong kantahin? He took a deep breath, Lupang Hinirang. His parents froze the Philippine National Anthem on AGT. Who would expect that? Would the judges even understand? Would the audience appreciate it? But Arvin's voice was steady when he said, It's who I am, it's where I'm from. And no one can judge. It is a bad song. His father felt a shiver. The boy was right. When they told the stage manager, she blinked in confusion. The national anthem. Are you sure most contestants? Choose something familiar to the audience. But Arvin nodded firmly. This is my song. The manager shrugged. All right, kid. It's your moment. Hours later. As his name was finally called, Arvin felt his heart pounding, like a drum inside his chest. His hands trembled, his legs felt weak. But as he stepped out into the bright spotlight, something inside him shifted. The theater was massive. The crowd seemed endless. The judge's desk gleamed beneath the lights. Simon Cowell, Sofia Vergara. Heidi Klum and Howie Mandel looked at him expectantly. Simon leaned forward. Hello there. What's your name? Arvin swallowed hard. And my name is Arvin de la Cruz. And where are you from, Arvin? From the Philippines, sir. The audience clapped some cheering loudly. Filipinos were everywhere, even in the crowd. And what are you going to do for us today? Simon asked. Arvin's palms were sweating. Now he breathed in deeply. I will sing Lupang Hinirang, the national anthem of the Philippines. The audience murmured. Some leaned forward in curiosity. Simon raised an eyebrow, surprised. That's a first, he said gently. Why this song? Arvin lifted his chin slightly. Because it reminds me of home. And because I want the whole world to hear how beautiful my country is. Someone in the crowd shouted, Go Pinoy, and a ripple of cheers followed. Simon gave a small nod. Well then, Arvin. The stage is yours. The theater fell silent. Arvin closed his eyes for a moment. Everything disappeared, the cameras, the judges, the sea of strangers, even his own fear. He remembered his small room back home, the mango tree outside his window, the laughter of neighbors, the smell of the ocean on warm afternoons, his mother's voice calling him for dinner, his father's hands stained with oil from the shop. He remembered why he was here, and he began by Yang Maji Liu. Pearl is in Silanganan. The first notes echoed through the theater clear, steady and breathtakingly pure. The audience straightened in their seats. Even those who didn't understand the words felt the emotion behind them. Sophia pressed a hand to her chest. Heidi whispered something under her breath. Howie nodded to the rhythm, eyebrows rising in surprise. But it was Simon's reaction that caught everyone off guard. He wasn't smiling, he was watching intensely, eyes glistening. as if the song reached a place in him no one expected. Arvin's voice grew stronger, fuller, braver with every line. Aiming lagaya na pag may mga api. Ang mamatay nung dahol sa'yo? The final note rang in the air like a bell. For a full second, there was no movement. No sound, nothing. Just stunned silence and then the explosion. The audience rose to their feet. Cheers erupted like a wave. People clapped, screamed, whistled. A group of Filipino viewers waved small flags. They had brought others wiped tears from their eyes. Backstage, his parents broke down crying. On stage, Arvin stood frozen, overwhelmed. Simon Cowell cleared his throat, visibly holding back emotion. Arvin, I've been judging talent shows for many years. I've heard thousands of singers. But I've never, ever experienced anything like this, the audience roared. Again, he continued, voice slightly cracking. You didn't just sing a song. You carried an entire nation with you. And even though I didn't know the words, I felt every part of it how he spoke next. I could feel your pride, your emotion, your love for your country. That was beautiful, Heidi added. You have a special gift, your voice. It's so pure, so powerful. Sophia smiled warmly. You made us travel to your home without leaving this theater. Then came the moment. Simon pressed both hands on the desk. There's only one thing left to do. A beat of silence, Arvin held his breath. Simon stood up, his hand hovered over the golden buzzer. The crowd screamed, and then with a firm slam, gold confetti burst into the air. Arvin gasped as the shimmering rain fell around him. His knees buckled, and he covered his face with trembling hands. Sophia and Heidi jumped out of their seats. Howie clapped wildly. Simon watched him with a soft smile, his earlier tears still lingering in his eyes. Backstage, his parents collapsed into each other's arms, crying uncontrollably, thanking God again and again. Arvin was rushed forward to hug his family. Nate, he shouted as gold glitter clung to his hair. Para sa Filipinos too? His mother held him tightly. Anis ginawa mo ang hindi kayang gawin ng marami. Proud na proud kami sa'yo. The video of his audition went viral. Within hours, Filipinos everywhere shared it, from workers in Dubai to nurses in Canada, from seafarers in Europe to students back home in the Philippines. The pride was overwhelming. Even people who had never watched AGT before tuned in, just to see the Filipino kid who sang Lupang Hinirang on an American stage. Newspapers picked up the story. Celebrities tweeted about it. Teachers played his performance in classrooms. Elderly Filipinos cried watching it, saying they had never heard the anthem, sung with so much sincerity. Back in California, Arvin found himself in a world he never imagined. Interviews, photo shoots, rehearsals. Fans asked for selfies. People recognized him on the street. His parents kept reminding him to stay humble, and he did, always smiling shyly, always thanking everyone who approached him. When the live shows came, Arvin chose another Filipino song, proving he wouldn't abandon his roots. But nothing ever surpassed the magic of that first audition, the moment a little boy in a simple polo shirt sang his country's anthem and touched millions as his AGT journey went on. He didn't win the final championship, but many people said he didn't need to. He had already won something far more lasting: the hearts of people around the world and the pride of an entire nation. Years later, people would still talk about him. The Filipino kid who dared to sing Lupang Hinirang in front of America. The boy who made Simon Cowell tear up. The child who turned a simple anthem into a global message of identity, courage, and love for one's country. And whenever someone asked him why he chose that song, Arvin always answered the same way. Cassie, that's me. That's where I came from, and no matter how far I go, I want the world to know I am Filipino. And that was the truth, the beautiful, powerful truth that carried him from a small barangay in Batangas to one of the biggest stages in the world. His story didn't end there. It became the beginning of something bigger for him, for his family, and for every young Filipino who watched him and whispered kung kaya niya, kaya ko rin, because sometimes it only takes one brave kid, one unexpected song, and one unforgettable moment to remind the world that greatness can come from the most humble places. And Arvin de la Cruz was living proof.